Good morning, everybody. RB living with the geezer. And just back here on some of these back roads out of Boyd, Texas. It's pretty, I guess you would call it, it's not farming country. This is more ranching country. A lot of cattle back here, a lot of horses. And yeah, we're just coming back, stopped in at the grocery store and picked up a few little things. I'm not buying too much. I'm trying to use up what I have, but I had to buy a couple of things just to make things work for supper. I'm gonna cook supper tonight, and it's gonna last me for 3 evenings. So yeah, making the most out of it. But yeah, Blanca's in the back seat, and I just took her out to the little park that we used to go to all the time. Walked around a little bit out there and listened to Rusty and the Rusty 78609. And yeah, just coming on home. I just wanted to touch on something real quick. Just came to my mind this morning, thinking about an old buddy of mine that I used to drive. When I retired from the fire department, I drove a school bus, as I've mentioned before, and I was working in Bernie, Texas, and it was a growing area out there, and yeah, they had like about 50 bus routes back then. They probably have 150 now. This is back, I drove there from 2002 to 2008. Okay, so I drove there for 6 years, and I had a friend there, and he's an old boy from Alabama named John Tucker. And old Tucker, him and I went on a lot of, we would take extra field trip jobs. And so Tucker and I went on a lot of field trips together. We, haul the kids to San Antonio or up into the hill country, Lady Bird Johnson Park, just wherever. Football games, we'd haul the band and, make extra money that way. But old Tucker, in 2007, I was going through some problems, and most of y'all out there put 2 and 2 together and figure out what I'm talking about. And it was a pretty hard time. And I was thinking about that this morning, and I was thinking about something that he walked up, he had an Alabama drawl, and I'm not even going to try to imitate John's, I didn't call him John, everybody called him Tucker, just they called him his last name, and he liked it. And old Tucker, he drove a 50cc he had several motorcycles, but he drove a 50cc motorcycle. It was a scooter, and it was automatic. It was a scooter, and if it's 50 cc's or under in Texas, I don't know if they've changed this law or not, but you don't need a driver's license for it. You don't need a motorcycle license. And back then, I'm like I say, I don't know if it's still that way, but yeah, he'd come putting up to the school, and he got like I don't know what he got, 90 miles to the gallon in that thing, or he lived 3 or 4 miles from the school is all. So he would come back and forth on that thing, and he had a bigger motorcycle that he'd ride on, take out for pleasure trips, far. He'd ride from Texas back to Alabama on his motorcycle, and but old Tucker, he'd been around the block. John had been around the block several times, and came up to me, and he knew things were bugging me and everything. And I just remember he said, "Calvin, if I've told you a lot, between you and me, we've talked a lot." He says, if I've ever told you anything, I want you to remember what I'm going to tell you right now." And he says it's just one sentence. And I said, yeah, what's that, John? Because he was a pretty smart cookie. I don't even know if he's still kicking, you know. If his ticker's still ticking to keep him kicking. But I hope so. But he said, take one day at a time. He said, it makes life so much easier. He'd been through the same thing a couple times, what I was going through. And it wasn't a health issue. So, you know, which, if it's, I tell you what, folks, if you got a problem and it's not a health issue, it's pretty solvable. You know, you can work almost anything out. I don't care what it is, unless it's a serious health issue. I don't know what got me talking about this morning, but I just said, heck, I'm just taking a ride on these pretty roads back here, and I just wanted to share that. You know, I don't throw a whole lot of stuff out like that on this channel, but you know, I'd like to if I was smart enough. You know, if I could, I'd like to share things that would help people. But that has helped me. That's helped me more than almost anything. When I start feeling like I'm getting overwhelmed by something, I just sit back and say, what Tucker tell you? One day at a time, you know. And I have a friend of mine in East Texas, and I know her and her husband watch my videos, and I drove a bus with her, and she knows what I'm talking about. She knows John Tucker very well. And Lisa, if you're watching this one, yeah, I bet you agree with me that he was happy-go-lucky, and I hope he still is, person, you know. And if old Tucker I've lost track of how to get a hold of him. The last I heard from him, he had got remarried, and they bought a little bitty cabin, rundown cabin, and this sounds just like him, out on Lake Buchanan up by Llano. And he was a fixer-upper, and he was fixing to fixer-upper, and he could do it. Yeah, he was one of those guys that, you know, he'd take on almost anything. So I just wanted to talk about old Tucker this morning. Him and I had a lot of fun for the 6 years that I was around him a lot too. You know, Lisa would vouch for that. When we went on field trips, it was usually me and Tucker, and you know, it depended how many kids he had to haul. But we used to haul them up to the HEB camp out between Lakey and Utopia. Beautiful place up in the hill country. And actually, it wasn't between Lakey and Utopia. It was a little west of Lakey. And it's right on the Guadalupe, right up there after it starts. And no, it's on the, oh, excuse me, I'm all screwed up. It's on the Frio River. It's on the Frio up there. And crystal clear water. And Tucker and I'd haul the kids up there, and then on the way back, we'd drop them off and leave them. They'd stay for 3 days over a weekend up there. All the 6th graders did that in Bernie schools. It was a camp they went through. And it was mandatory. And we'd haul them up there, and you'd drive the bus right in the riverbed, the hard rock riverbed, to get across the river. That's how you get across it. You would actually go into the river, drive down the river like 300 yards, and then come back out of the river on the other side where the camp was. So if the river was flooding, the kids could be there, you know, they would have to be there till the river went down. You know, they weren't in any danger where the camp was. But yeah, but that was good times. I tell you what, that bus driving, certain things in my life not happened in 2008. I probably would have still been driving for Bernie, because I really got into that job. I'll make a video on that and talk about it sometime. Any of you retired people out there, if you want to get a part-time job that is rewarding in more ways than benefits or money, and rewarding in a way that just you feel good after you do a good job, because you've got such a tremendous responsibility. If you can handle that, you know, you're hauling the most precious cargo in the world. You know, 71 elementary students will fit in a bus. That's what my route at Fair Oaks had. I was loaded every day, every afternoon. I had 71 kids. That's by law. That's as many as you can put in in one of those long buses. You know, the big bus. So anyway, I got off the subject a little bit of one day at a time, guys. Think about it. Peace out. Stay blessed. Stay positive. If the geezer had a sticks and bricks, it would be something like that right there. I like that. I've told you all that before. Stay positive, guys. I talked long enough. I hope it helped. Helps. You know, it might help somebody. Anyway, that's what I'm trying to say. Bye.